Welcome. I am the Millennial Sage of Plastic, Sage, and you've come here because you are deciding to join the Warhammer community. First off, welcome. Welcome. I always like to see more people joining the Warhammer community, but you might be wrestling with a question that most of us wrestled at one point or another when we joined the hobby, which is, what army should I play? Now, you might be telling that I have not mentioned 40k or Age of Sigmar. Well, to solve this problem with your first army, it really doesn't matter. You can use the same advice for either. But if you have no clue even so far as to which version of that you want to play, I suggest the simple question of, what do you like more, sci-fi or fantasy? Answer it right off the bat. First thing that came to your head, go with that. Science fiction, go more into Warhammer 40k. If you liked fantasy, Age of Sigmar. And that's a pretty easy thing. Now, continuing on to getting down to like specific army that you might like to play, there's two ways that I think would be good choices for picking an army. One is the crunchy way, and one's the fluffy vibes way. If you're super competitive, and I mean you're into Magic the Gathering and you do nothing but look at lists of cards and build the most constructed perfect deck to beat your friends, then the crunchy way might be it. You're less focused on the looks or style or the lore of an army, and you care more about just literally how good it is in the meta of the edition. There are countless forums, websites. Warhammer community itself will regularly put out posts on how good the win ratio is of any specific army in any specific edition. So if you're looking to want to just play the quote-unquote best army during the edition at that time, which does ebb and flow, look that up, pick that army, grab yourself a Start Collect Combat Patrol or Spearhead, whatever they're calling the box that they're calling now. They change the name so regularly, and get playing. But if you care more for the lore and the looks of it, this is the more of the fluff side of choosing an army. This is talking vibes. You've looked at these models, you've maybe even read some of the books, you've looked at paint schemes, you've seen other things, or maybe you have a friend that's talked to you about this a lot. What army do you think looks the coolest? What army do you think has the coolest lore? For me, for 40k, it was the Adeptus Mechanicus. I just always liked the dogmatic religious aspect of how they worship the machine, and their models are also really cool. So I've always been drawn to them, so I picked them as my first 40k army. When on the other side, for fantasy, for Age of Sigmar, I have always liked Skaven. They have always been my favorite army ever. If I was ever going to get into it, I was going to. And as soon as I had a couple friends getting into Age of Sigmar, I ran out and bought a Skaven army, and I have now a huge Skaven collection. I'm in the middle of painting most of them and having just a ball. But they have an incredibly hilarious lore, and their models also look very cool. I lean more towards this because if you pick purely on just how good an army is doing, it's going to change. I think half the fun, maybe 3/4 of the fun that I get out of the hobby is painting and reading the lore and stuff. So I like to pick an army that I actually enjoy. Now, all the armies look really cool. I think some look cooler than others, but I would say follow your aesthetic eye. Pick an army that you think looks really cool, or that you've maybe read some of the lore for and you just think is just absolutely rad. And there is cool books for literally everything. If you want to know about the Space Marines, there's like 50 books in the Horus Heresy that explains the whole lore of the Space Marines. There's multiple books for the Skaven, Adeptus Mechanicus, either side of the divide, that you can help guide yourself to picking an army. Now you've picked an army, and now you're thinking, well, what do you do now? That's actually the easiest part of this. Once you've picked your army, just go out and grab the Combat Patrol if it's a 40k, or a Spearhead if it's Age of Sigmar, and that's going to give you just a incredibly good starting point for an army. It's also fully playable. You can actually just take a combat patrol or a spearhead and play it against someone else's spearhead or combat patrol. And they're smaller games, so they can quickly get done. You can learn yourself some rules, because that's a whole other thing, learning all the rules. But really, all you need is just a combat patrol, or just pick a random model that you think looks kind of cool and paint that. But yeah, if you're looking into picking an army or getting into this hobby, just pick what looks cool, because you're going to spend hundreds of hours painting these tiny things. You might as well think they look cool, and you might as well think that their lore is awesome. Thanks for watching my video. Don't forget to like it, subscribe if you want to see some more stuff. I post tons of shorts. Post a comment on any questions of other hobbies of plastic you might have. I not only paint the tiny little models, I also build gunpla. So really just send me ideas for other videos that I might make about different parts of the plastic hobby. So until next time, keep on building and keep on painting.